It's been a rough few days, and honestly, I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything I've uncovered. I always thought I knew my wife, thought I knew her inside and out. Turns out I didn't know her at all. Not anymore. It all started when I found myself replaying that night, the one I thought was perfect. We had planned a romantic dinner at that fancy restaurant she loves. The candlelight, the soft music, her hand resting on mine across the table, her eyes sparkling like she was truly happy. I remember savoring the taste of the steak, feeling the warmth of her touch, the scent of her perfume lingering in the air. It was supposed to be normal, just us. But beneath that, something felt off. I kept thinking about the little things, her distracted glances, her sudden pauses when she answered her phone, her quick excuse about work. Nothing concrete, just enough to make my stomach tight. Still, I ignored it. We've been married 3 years. I trusted her completely, or so I thought. That night I came home early, planning to surprise her. I wanted to catch her in a moment of real intimacy, just to see her smile at me again, but the house was dead silent. No laughter, no music. My gut told me something was wrong. I went straight to our bedroom, expecting to find her curled up reading or maybe dozing off. Instead, I found the door slightly ajar. The faint glow of a dim light spilled through the crack, and that's when a strange, cold feeling took over me. I pushed the door open slowly, my palms sweaty, my pulse hammering in my ears, and saw her. She was on her knees, tangled in the sheets of some hotel room, her hair a mess, her face flushed with whatever she'd been doing. I could see her trembling as she reached for her phone. The screen was lit up with messages that made my stomach drop. Texts from her boss, flirtatious and suggestive, full of inside jokes and promises. I saw the hotel keycard lying on the nightstand. It was all there, plain as day. I froze. My mind spun, trying to process what I was looking at. My wife, the woman I trusted with everything, was cheating on me, with her boss, in a damn hotel room. I don't even remember how I got out of that house without making a sound. My legs felt like lead, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might burst. Every part of me wanted to scream, to tear her apart, but I just backed out slowly, closed the door quietly, and left. The next morning I couldn't sit still. Every thought kept circling back to that hotel room. That scandalous scene burned into my mind. I needed answers. I spent the day digging through her phone, her emails, any trace of what she's been hiding. That's when I found the messages, the proof, the one-two punch I didn't want but was glad I finally got. She'd been meeting with him, planning their rendezvous, laughing about it like it was some joke. She told him she was done pretending and that she wanted more than just work, more than me. I don't know how I held myself together seeing that. My hands still tremble when I think about it. I kept replaying the moment I found the hotel key and her phone. It was real. It wasn't just a mistake. It was betrayal on a level I'd never expected. I thought I'd be crushed, angry, maybe even broken, but strangely I felt something else, something darker. That night I sat in the quiet, feeling my stomach churn and my fists clench so tightly I thought I'd break my own fingers. I realized I couldn't just let this slide. No, I needed to do something, but not just scream and walk away. I needed to make her see what she's lost, what she's throwing away. That's when I started planning my revenge. It's not about destroying her, not about acting impulsively. I need her to understand the severity of her mistake, that crossing boundaries has consequences. I want her to see that I'm not a fool, that I can fight back. I've kept it all inside, but tonight I'm finally ready to act. I don't have all the pieces yet, but I know what I want. And once I execute this plan, she'll realize the mess she's made. She'll wish she never crossed that line. I'll make sure of it. I can't tell anyone yet, not even my closest friends. This feels too personal, too raw. But I needed to get this off my chest. Maybe it's some kind of therapy, or maybe just a way to organize my thoughts. Whatever it is, I'm not backing down now. The game is on, and she's about to find out just how far I'll go to get my revenge. I've been thinking about how to pull this off all day. The plan is simple but brutal in its own way. I want her to feel the ache, the regret, and the sting of losing everything she thought she had. I've spent hours researching, plotting, making sure every step is calculated. I don't want to rush this. I want it to be perfect. First, I needed proof that she's still meeting him, still sneaking around. I installed a hidden app on her phone. Yeah, I know I'm crossing some lines, but honestly I don't see it as betrayal. I see it as self-defense. The app tracks her location, logs her calls, and records her messages. It's like having a spy inside her own world. The first couple of days, I watched her routines, trying to understand her patterns. She's predictable in some ways. Leaves for work at the same time every morning, stops by that little coffee shop on her way home, then disappears into the house. I kept my distance, pretending to be okay. But every time I saw her sitting at her desk or chatting with her friends, I felt that familiar rage bubbling up again. Tonight, I got what I needed. Her location pinged her at that hotel again. She was there with him, no doubt. I knew I couldn't confront her directly yet. No, I needed to be smarter. I waited until I was positive she'd stay the night. Then I started executing my plan. I had to make it look like I was the one who got away, the one who didn't care anymore. So I called her, just a casual, indifferent call. She answered after a few rings, her voice strained as if she'd been crying or lying. "Hey," I said, a little too casual. "Just wanted to check in. You okay?" "Oh yeah," she replied too quickly. "I'm fine, just tired." I could hear the nervousness in her voice, like she was trying to hide something. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I played it cool, told her I'd see her in the morning, and then I hung up. Next, I set my plan into motion. I wanted her to believe that I knew everything, yet I wasn't ready to blow everything up just yet. I left a small, carefully crafted clue, a recording of her talking to her boss, whispering about their plans, that I secretly recorded on a second phone. I placed it where she would find it, somewhere she'd have to stumble upon it, like her purse or the glove compartment of her car. Then I started preparing my appearance for the confrontation. I bought a new suit, something sharp enough to make her realization hit hard. I even bought a small gift, something meaningful to make her think I was trying to hold on to her, to make her see I wasn't just angry but hurt. The night I plan to confront her, I'll be waiting for her at home. I want her to walk into her own trap, realize I've been watching her every move, and then I'll reveal that I have everything. Her messages, her location history, that recording. I want her to see that her actions have consequences, that I'm not just some naive fool anymore. I can feel my palms getting sweaty just thinking about it, but there's no turning back now. I've spent too many nights feeling like I was losing my mind, questioning everything. Now I finally have the power, and I won't let her walk away without knowing how much she's messed up. Tonight I sleep with one eye open, waiting for her to come home. She's about to understand that crossing me was the worst mistake she ever made. And the worst part, I don't think she even realizes it yet. But she will. Oh, she will. The house was silent when I got back that night, every creak and whisper amplified in the dark. I had everything ready, phone with the recording, the small gift on the coffee table, my face set in a calm, controlled expression. I wanted her to think I'd accepted her betrayal, that I was just another fool who didn't see what was happening right under his nose. I sat on the couch, pretending to watch TV, but my eyes kept darting to the door. The anticipation was almost worse than the betrayal itself. My stomach was tight, like a fist clenched so hard it could break. Every minute felt like an hour. The house seemed to stretch endlessly, every second echoing with the sound of my pounding heart. Finally, I heard the key turn in the lock. She hesitated just a second before stepping inside. The door swung open, and there she was, her face painted with guilt and nervousness, eyes darting around as if she were expecting to catch a ghost. "Hey," she said softly, her voice trembling just a little. I'm home." Her voice sounded small, almost defeated. I didn't say anything right away. I just watched her, waiting for her to realize she was caught. "You look tired," I said evenly, voice steady. "Long night." She hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, long night." She was trying to mask her nerves, but her hands were trembling. I saw the slight flicker of her eyes as she looked around the room, searching for an escape. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the recording, pressing play on my phone. The room filled with her voice, whispering to her boss about how she wanted to meet, how she was tired of pretending, that she was ready for more. Her words hung heavy in the air. Her face turned ghostly pale. "Oh my God," she whispered, covering her mouth. Her eyes flooded with tears, but I could see the shock. She never expected me to have this, to have her. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" I asked quietly, my voice low and dangerous. "You've been lying, sneaking around. All to get what? A few nights with him. She shook her head rapidly. It's not what you think, I swear. Save it, I cut her off. You've done enough damage. You crossed a line and I'm not going to let you forget it. I could feel the cold fury welling up inside me. You lied, cheated, and then lied some more. I want you to understand what you've done. She looked helpless, her hands trembling. Please, I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I was just confused. I love you, I swear. I don't know what I was thinking. That's bullshit, I snapped. You didn't just fall into it, you planned it. I saw the messages, the hotel key. I even saw the way you look at him like he's your salvation. My voice cracked with anger. You threw everything away because you wanted some thrill, some secret. Well, enjoy it because I'm done. She sank to her knees, tears spilling down her face. Don't do this, she begged. Please, I'll fix it. I'll do anything, just don't walk out on me like this. That's when I handed her the gift I'd bought, a small, meaningful piece that symbolized everything she was about to lose. Take this, I said coldly. It's over. I want you to pack your things and leave tonight. You're done. Her eyes widened and she looked at me as if I was suddenly a stranger. You're serious. Dead serious, I said. You're out of my life and I never want to see you again. Don't bother coming back. She looked broken, defeated, and yet somehow defiant, but I didn't care anymore. I stood up, walked over, handed her the keys to the house, and watched her stumble to her feet. Get out, I said again, voice firm. Leave the keys on the table and don't come back. You've made your choice and I won't be part of it anymore. She stared at me, then slowly moved toward the door, clutching her purse like it was her last lifeline. I didn't say a word as she left. Just watched her disappear into the night, her figure small and lost in the darkness. That night I sat alone in the empty house, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd done it. I'd finally taken control. My stomach still clenched from the adrenaline, but a part of me felt lighter, freer. I knew this was just the beginning, but I also knew I'd take back my life, no matter how much it hurt. As I stared at the empty doorway, I thought about all the things I'd learned. Trust is fragile, betrayal is sharp, and revenge. Sometimes, it's the only way to find peace. The silence that followed her departure was deafening, and honestly, it felt like I'd just woken up from a nightmare I couldn't fully shake. For the first few hours, I sat on the couch, staring at the empty space where she'd just been, my mind racing through everything I'd just done. It was a strange mix, part relief, part fury, and a huge dose of emptiness that I couldn't quite process. I knew I'd won the battle, but the war wasn't over. The house was too quiet, too still. I needed to do something, anything, to remind her what she'd lost, to make her understand the damage she'd done. My plan wasn't just about ending it, it was about sending a message. I pulled out the recording I'd made, the one she'd never suspect I had. It was simple but enough. The words she'd spoken to her boss, the plan they'd hatched, the lies she told herself that she could get away with it all. I played it loud on my phone, then slipped it into an envelope, sealing it carefully so she'd find it when she next checked her stuff. Next, I went to the closet and grabbed her phone. I wanted her to see all the messages, all the plans, all the lies she'd been living. I didn't delete anything, I left everything exactly as it was. If she was going to learn the truth, I wanted her to see it all, the receipts, the flirtatious texts, the hotel reservation confirmation. Then I took a photo of her lying on the hotel bed, caught in her moment of betrayal. I printed it out and left it on the kitchen table, right next to the recording. I knew she'd see it when she came back someday, and I wanted her to remember exactly what she'd done. This was my way of making sure she wouldn't forget how badly she'd screwed up. I also set up one final thing, a small, symbolic reminder of everything she'd lost. I bought a tiny, cheap but tasteful piece of jewelry that symbolized commitment, something I could give her if she ever decided to come back. But I was pretty sure she'd hate it. Good. That was the point. I wanted her to realize her mistake every time she saw it. By morning, I felt exhausted but oddly victorious. I'd done everything I could do to make her understand she'd crossed a line. I didn't want her to think I was just some helpless fool anymore. Now I was starting to see how much control I had, how much power I could wield. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at all the evidence I'd gathered. My stomach was tight again, but this time it was different. It was a mixture of anger and resolve. I knew she'd try to call, try to reason, but I wasn't picking up. I wanted her to feel the coldness, the finality of what had happened. Then my phone buzzed. I hesitated. It was her. I looked at the screen, then ignored it. That was the last thing I'd do for now. Instead, I pulled out my plan and wrote down the next steps. I had to be ready for whatever she threw at me next. The thing I realized is that this isn't just about revenge. It's about reclaiming myself. She might have betrayed me, but I wasn't going to let her ruin everything. I'd rebuild stronger and smarter. And she was about to learn that crossing me wasn't just a mistake, it was the last thing she'd ever do. As I locked the door behind her keys and sat back in my chair, I thought about what I'd say to her if she ever tried to come back. But honestly, I'm already done chasing her. Whatever comes next, I'll be prepared. And I'll make damn sure she regrets the day she ever thought she could get away with this. Now I just wait and watch. Because revenge, it's a slow game, and I'm not done yet. The days that followed were some of the hardest I've ever lived through, but also the clearest. I stayed busy, kept my head down, and kept my emotions in check. Every time I thought about her or what she did, I'd feel that familiar tightening in my chest like a fist clenching around my heart. But I refused to let it show. Instead, I focused on my plan step by step. I kept the evidence in a safe place just in case I needed it. The recording, the photos, her app location data, all tucked away, hidden from the world but ready to be used if she came back or if she tried to fight me. I'd made my decision. No going back. I was done being the naive husband who trusted blindly. Now I was a man who knew the truth and was prepared to act on it. One thing I did do was prepare myself emotionally. I knew she'd eventually try to contact me, maybe beg, maybe lie again. I wanted to be ready. I practiced what I'd say, calm, firm, unwavering. I knew that if I gave her even an inch, she'd try to manipulate me into forgiving her. That wasn't going to happen. Not this time. But I also knew I couldn't just sit around waiting. I had to make her feel the consequences of her actions, force her to confront what she'd lost. So I made a list of what I wanted her to experience: embarrassment, regret, guilt. Not out of malice, but because that's what she deserved. I started by making sure her belongings were packed, ready for her to pick up or for me to deliver if needed. I didn't want her to feel comfortable here anymore, to think she could strut back into my life when she was ready. No, I wanted her to understand that her choices had reset everything. Then I took the next step, one I'd been waiting to execute. I found a discreet but effective way to let her see the full scope of what I knew. I scheduled a private email to be sent to her with all the evidence attached. The truth, plain and unfiltered. The messages, the hotel confirmation, the photos. I even added a note. You thought you could hide this forever. Think again. I pressed send, then leaned back and let the weight of it settle. The moment she opened that email, her world would shift. I could imagine her staring at the screen, her face white as a sheet. Realizing I had everything, every lie, every secret rendezvous, every betrayal. I wanted her to see that I was no longer the fool she thought I was. Meanwhile, I started making arrangements. I contacted a lawyer just to get advice on what my next steps should be legally. Divorce, separation, anything that would give me clarity. I wanted clean, no messy fights, just a clean break. I didn't need her trying to drag me through the mud or spinning stories about how she was sorry or confused. No, I'd already seen her true face, and I knew this was the end. Of course, I expected her to reach out soon. I knew her pride would make that inevitable, but I wasn't about to be pulled back into that chaos. I'd made up my mind. Her apology, if it came, would be too little, too late. I was done begging for explanations. That evening, I found myself in the quiet again, staring at the empty house. It was strange, but I felt strangely liberated. The revenge I'd plotted was almost complete. All that was left was to see her reaction if she dared to respond. And then it hit me. I'd finally taken control. I'd stopped being the guy who was hurt and betrayed. I'd become the one who decided it was over. It's a bitter pill, but it's also a release. I realized I'd been holding on to something that was gone long before I found out about her affair. Now I was just finally letting go. Tomorrow, I'll do the final thing, pack her things, hand her the keys, and close that chapter for good. It's time to move on for myself, not for revenge's sake, but to reclaim what's left of my dignity. She made her choice, and now she's going to face the consequences. And me? I'll be better for it, stronger, ready to start fresh. And honestly, it's about damn time. Today is the day I finally let go of her. I woke up early, packed her belongings with a steady hand, and made sure everything was organized. I wanted this to be as clean and final as possible. No lingering mess, no second guessing. Just a clear cut. I also took the keys I'd kept hidden and left them on the kitchen table. No drama, no shouting. Just the simple act of handing her back her freedom and closing this chapter. For good, I called her just before she was supposed to come by. Hearing her voice, even over the phone, was a strange mixture of satisfaction and indifference. "I've packed your things," I said, voice steady. "They're on the table. You can come pick them up whenever you're ready. Also, here's your key." I made sure my tone was calm, almost detached. There was a pause on the other end, then she whispered, "Are you serious? You're really letting me go?" "I am," I replied. "You made your choice. I won't keep you. Just take your things and go. That's what you wanted, right?" She didn't say anything for a moment. I could hear her breathing, ragged and uneven. I could almost picture her standing there, helpless and defeated. Finally, she whispered, "Fine, I'll be there soon." I hung up and sat back. The house felt emptier than ever, but I also felt lighter. I knew I'd done the right thing, not just for me, but for the person I was becoming. I didn't need her betrayal poisoning my life anymore. Today was about reclaiming my dignity, my peace, my future. When she arrived, she looked different, less confident, more broken. Her eyes darted around the room like she was trying to find something to hold onto, but there was nothing left. I handed her the bag of her clothes and her belongings, watched her take them without a word. She didn't even try to argue or plead. She just grabbed her stuff, turned, and left. I thought about saying something, something final, something defining. But I didn't. Instead, I just watched her go, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders with every step she took out the door. As the door closed behind her, I felt a strange sense of closure. It wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the start of me reclaiming myself. I took a deep breath and looked around the house. It was empty, but somehow it felt like a new beginning. I was finally free from the shadow of her betrayal, free to rebuild my life. I knew it wouldn't be easy, and I'd carry scars for a while. But I also knew I'd come out stronger. The truth is, I don't regret what I did. I stood up for myself when it mattered most. I caught her, exposed her, and left her to face the consequences. Sometimes the only way to find peace is to take control, no matter how painful it looks at first. So now I'm moving forward. No more anger, no more pain, just the quiet confidence that I've done what I needed to do. The past is behind me and I'm stepping into whatever comes next. And honestly, that feels pretty damn good.